All right, so have you ever stopped to think about how those super complex apps on your phone actually get built? It seems like magic, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and break it all down using a really fun and simple analogy, building with Legos.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a little thought experiment. I want you to picture this. You and a couple of friends, a giant mountain of Lego bricks, and you've only got 2 weeks to build an entire city. Where do you even begin, right? How do you keep track of who's building the fire station versus who's on road duty? This, right here, is the exact problem we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll set up our big Lego challenge and talk about the one tool that keeps everything organized. Then we'll meet the crew, check out their master to-do list, and we'll actually follow one little Lego house from being just an idea to a finished piece. And then we'll tie it all back to how real software gets built and cover the golden rules that make the whole thing work.
All right, first things first, let's dig into this great Lego challenge and introduce the notebook that's going to stop this whole project from turning into total chaos.
And that notebook, that's where a tool like Jira comes into play. Think of it as the project's official digital command center. So instead of a mess of sticky notes and forgotten conversations, it's this one shared space where every single idea, every task, and everyone's progress is tracked in real time. For our Lego city, Jira is the single source of truth. No arguments, no confusion.
You know, a great plan is useless without an amazing team to actually execute it. So let's meet the key players in our Lego building crew and figure out exactly what each of them does.
First up, you've got the product manager, or PM for short. This person is the visionary. They're the one who decides, hey, this city needs a park before it gets a skyscraper. They're kind of like the voice of the customer, the future Lego people. And their whole job is to define the what. Okay, so once that vision is set, you need the builders. And that's where the developers, or devs, come in. These are the folks who are literally clicking the bricks together. They take the PM's big ideas and the designer's blueprints and make them real. In the software world, these are the people writing the actual code that makes an app work.
But wait, the builders can't just start snapping bricks together randomly, right? They need a blueprint. That's the job of the UI/UX designer. Think of them as the architects and the artists of our Lego city. They're the ones deciding the school should be yellow, that the hospital needs to be easy to find. They make sure the city is not just functional, but it's also beautiful and, easy for the little Lego people to get around in.
All right, next up, we have a really important role, the QA tester. I like to call them the official wobble checker. It's literally their job to try and break things. Seriously, does the garage door actually open and close? Is that bridge strong enough to hold a Lego car? They hunt down all the problems before anyone else sees them, making sure the final product is basically perfect.
And finally, we've got the DevOps engineer. So you've got this perfectly built, perfectly tested Lego fire station. Now what? How does it get from the workshop to its final spot in the city? Well, the DevOps engineer is the one who manages that whole delivery process, making sure everything gets moved over smoothly, automatically, and without anything breaking along the way.
So, you've got this all-star team, but how on earth do they organize what could be hundreds, even thousands of different tasks? They can't just wing it. They need a master plan.
And that plan starts with something called the product backlog. Just imagine a gigantic, never-ending shopping list for the entire Lego city. It's got everything from huge tasks like build a skyscraper, all the way down to tiny things like add a park bench. The product manager owns this list, and they're always adding to it, but more importantly, they're constantly prioritizing it, so the most important stuff is always right at the top.
Now, trying to build that entire city from that giant list all at once would be totally overwhelming, right? That's where this idea of Agile comes in. Instead of one gigantic, long project, the team works in these short, focus bursts called sprints. A sprint is basically a promise. It's usually 2 weeks long, and the team says, okay, we're going to take these top few items from the backlog, and we promise to get them 100% finished by the end of these 2 weeks.
So we've talked about the big picture, but what about the small stuff? How does one single task from that huge backlog, like, say, build a red house, actually get done? Let's follow its journey, from just an idea to a finished piece sitting in our city. Okay, so this is how it works, step by step. A developer sees the task, build a red house with 2 windows, in the to-do column and grabs it. As they start building, they slide that task over to in progress. Simple enough. Now, when they think they're finished, it moves to code review. This is where another developer, a fresh pair of eyes, checks the work to make sure it's built well. After that, it's on to our wobble checker, the QA tester, for some serious testing.
and I mean only after it passes all those checks, does it finally get moved to done and placed on the display table.
Okay, the Lego analogy has been fun, but now it's time for the big reveal. Let's connect all these dots and see how this exact same process is used to build real software, like a food delivery app you might have on your phone.
As you can see, the parallel is pretty much one-to-one. The grand idea of a Lego city becomes building a food delivery app. A small task like build a red house becomes a feature like build the login page. The builder and the checker, they have the exact same roles. The most important thing to get here is that the result is the same, a finished, working piece that adds real, tangible value to the project.
So, to make this whole system work like a well-oiled machine, whether you're dealing with plastic bricks or lines of code, teams follow a few simple but really powerful rules. Let's break down the essential do's and don'ts.
Let's start with the good stuff, the do's. First, clarity is everything. Tasks have to be super specific, like build a 2-story blue house with a red door. No ambiguity. Second, you test everything. Quality is not an afterthought. Next, you talk constantly. Teams usually have a quick daily meeting just to make sure everyone's in sync. You also have to stay focused. The team worries about this sprint, not some master plan from 6 months ago. And finally, and this one's important, you celebrate your wins. It keeps everyone motivated and feeling good about the progress. And of course, the don'ts are just as crucial. You can't skip testing. That classic developer excuse, well, it works on my machine, just doesn't fly. You also don't change the plan mid-sprint. That just causes chaos. Team members can't work in isolation. Collaboration is key. And a big one, you can't call something done if it's still kind of broken. Done means done. And maybe most importantly, you never ever ignore user feedback, because at the end of the day, you're building it for them.
And this right here is why this whole sprint thing is so powerful. Look at how a food delivery app gets built. Instead of waiting 8 weeks for the whole thing, you get something useful after just 2 weeks. You can see a list of restaurants. A couple weeks later, boom, you can add food to your cart. This way, you're delivering actual value to users bit by bit, getting their feedback early, and having a working product at every single step of the way.
So what's the big takeaway here? This powerful way of working isn't just for software developers or building Lego cities. It's a framework you can use to break down any big, scary project, whether it's planning a wedding or writing a thesis or even organizing your garage into small, manageable 2-week chunks. It's all about making steady, visible progress. So it makes you think, right? What challenge in your own life could you tackle in your next 2-week sprint?